Adding sparkling rhinestones to a bridal gown is like sprinkling the finishing touches on a wedding cake. Just like the cake needs to be perfect on its own before adding the decorations, the wedding dress should be flawless to stand by itself first before adding an overlapping skirt or some sparkly rhinestones.
Welcome to Mini.
Let's start with the bodies. To fit the contour of the upper torso better, we soften and curve the dart a little bit like this. The bodies will curve nicely around the boobs. As we don't want to see any fray from any edges, this time Mommy cut the fabric with a soldering iron. With heat, it cuts and seals the fabric at the same time. When cutting fabric with this thermal pen, don't go too fast or too slow. Going too fast, it doesn't have enough time to cut through. Going too slow, however, will burn the fabric. If there's still some points that didn't cut through, don't try to pull it. Cut with scissors instead. Now all the edges are smooth and clean, and the best part is, we don't need any further treatment to prevent fraying. We also use this soldering iron to trim off darts after sewing. However, the edges will stick together and we can't press it open as usual. Not bad at all. I'm happy with how it turned out. Now the pleat. It looks so simple, but it's actually not. It took Mommy a whole afternoon to figure out how to make perfect tiny pleats with this super slippery fabric. She used paper to help the fabric hold the form. Fold it just like folding a paper fan. Make sure it's nice and even. Then, tuck the fabric on its bias direction into the paper pleats. We press it down and do a run stitch every here and there to hold the pleat. Then it's good to take out and sew onto the bodies. We'll start with the lower side seam, then work it up and fit it on the bodies. Things might look simple, but it's actually not at all on this small scale. After that, we can continue sewing the side seams as we normally do, both main garment and lining. Then we sew them together. Now this is the fun part. In this design, I really want a sharp pointy corner neckline. We'll sew a thread right at the corner, leaving enough string in between the two layers so when we pull it, it turns the garment over and pulls the corner to make it sharp. So cool, isn't it? To make sure the lining won't show up, we need to seal it in. Yes, hand sew. And yes, it also takes time, but we gotta do it if we want to make a spotless gown for our little bride. Oops, I just noticed that Mommy forgot to sew the hanging stripes on. We need it. It's a cut dress, so it definitely needs hanging strips. Never mind, she's gonna open the stitches and sew it to the lining. Good, now sew the inner skirt. Start with the back darts, 2 pieces of the main garment and 2 of the lining. This is an asymmetrical design, so bear in mind that the lining front should be opposite with the main garment. We use a cloth when pressing to protect the garment from dirt and burning. Let's sew the lining to the main garment. And you know how to make a sharp corner now, do you? Perfect. Let's sew the skirt to the bodice, main garment to main garment. Make sure the side seams align. Now the lining layer. Look how Mommy twisted around. And let's sew the center back seam, leaving enough space for the doll to get in. Press the seam open using a roll ham. Looking good. And tuck the lining so it won't show. Make sure the stitches is not too deep that it goes all the way to the front. We don't want to see any stitches either. I love lace back dresses, but it's not easy at all to find a good size cord to make these loops. It's so tiny, you know. Then we found a craft cord at Dollarama, just perfect for it. Our sewing friends on Barbie Sewing Facebook group suggested that we can sew them to a piece of tissue paper in a continuous snake pattern. Cut down the center and then line up and sew in place. What a brilliant idea! It will definitely save a lot of time. Now, to turn this dress into a magnificent gown, we'll add an overlapping skirt. We cut on fold the fabric, so we need to mark the other side using cardboard paper. Just some notches to show where to pleat, that's all. But first things first, let's hem it. Sewing curved hem is not easy at all, but Mom found a great way to do it. First, run a base stitch to guide where to fold. Then, fold the hem and sew it close to the base stitch. This way we'll have a perfect hem. Okay, now let's sew the pleats as marked. Pretty straightforward. When cutting the waistband, make sure to cut it on the bias to ensure it curves nicely. With the right sides together, gently pull the waistbands to match the skirt's waist. Remember, you're adjusting the waistband to fit the skirt, not the other way around. Before folding and sewing the waistband to the other side, trim off any excess edges to avoid bulkiness. Once that's done, attach the hooks, and your gown will be ready to dazzle. Now our gown is already looking perfect, spotless, and absolutely gorgeous. Let's add some extra sparkle. This part can be a bit nerve-wracking. One wrong move, we could ruin all those hours of careful stitching. So one by one, we start from the edges inward, adding those sparkles carefully to make our gown truly shine. Gosh, look what we have done! A truly goddess gown. Thank you for watching. See you next time.